जय श्री माता जी. Srimad Devi Bhagavat. If you want to know who Adi Shakti is, read Devi Bhagavat, said by Her Holiness Srimataji Nirmala Devi. Sankalpam. Mama Atmanah Sahajayogi Kutumbanam Atmonnati Prityartham Moksha Prapti Prityartham Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Pujanam Karishe. The Holy Recital of Srimad Devi Bhagavat.
Chapter 7, Episodes 33 and 34. Devi shows her Virat Roop and again her Saumya Roop, that is, mild, gentle. Instruction and counsel to Himalaya. Devi said, Himalaya, it is my Maya Shakti that has created this entire universe. If you become spiritually subtle, you will perceive that Maya is in no way different from me. For the sake of function and transaction, it got the name of Vidya, that is knowledge, and Maya. In essence, there is no diversity. There is only one Tattva, and that is me, and after the creation, I get absorbed back into my original Tattva form. Together with Maya and their deeds committed with knowledge and understanding, I put the living beings in front and then only make my entry. If I do not do it this way, the cycle of births and deaths will not continue. According to the information divulged by Maya, there is extension in my work. For example, one Akash can become clear sky or cloudy sky. In the same way, I am one but can have many designations. And, like the sun, which is most important and also cruel, it shines continuously on all alike, but it remains blameless and guiltless. So also I am never tainted with blemish, defect, or blame. Actually, the division between the soul and the Ishwar has been contrived by Maya. Similar to clear sky and cloudy sky, the difference between Jivatma, that is soul, and Paramatma, that is supreme soul, should be considered as contrived or engineered. Just as many life forms have come into existence by the influence of Maya, so also Brahma and other ruling gods who are under the subjection of Maya become diverse. Avidya gives rise to desires connected with body and senses, and Avidya is the causer of the diverse life forms. Himalaya, the one which causes diversity in the desires for qualities, is Maya. Dharanidhar, that is, one who supports and sustains, this entire creation, well mixed and woven, exists within me. Because I am Ishwar, I am also Vishnu and Brahma. I am Rudra, Gauri, Saraswati and Lakshmi. I am Surya, Chandrama and the planets. Animals, birds, chandals, robbers, hunters, doers of cruel acts, doers of virtuous acts, distinguished persons, women, men, and the neuter gender, I am all of these. There is no doubt in this. Any object or substance that can be seen or heard, whether inside or outside, is pervaded by me. In this entire universe, there is nothing which is separate from me. If anything is considered separate from me, it is impossible. As impossible as a child from a barren woman. In the same way that a rope, even if mistaken for a snake or a garland, remains a rope, so also my divine form only gets diversified. There should be no doubt in this. Nothing can exist or get diversified if separated from me. Therefore, this entire creation exists due to me. Otherwise, it is nothing. Himalaya said, Deveshi, you have described your glorious and imposing Virata form. Please be compassionate and benevolent and show me that form. It is my pure desire to behold it. Vyasji says, Rajan, hearing this request of Himalaya, all the Devas were full of joy. They supported his request and said, O Devi, we also desire to see. The Devi who fulfills the desires of her devotees, Bhagavati Shiva, manifested herself to all those present. The Devas began to see that most magnificent form of Mahadevi, her Virat Roop. They say the Akash was her head, the sun and the moon were her eyes, the directions took the form of her ears, sound of the Vedas and Vayu were the supreme soul. The universe was the heart, the earth was the loins, Patal was the Nabhi. Jyotish Chakra, that is heavenly bodies, formed the chest. Maharlok, that is a fourth of the upper worlds, formed the neck, and Janlok, that is one of the seven divisions of the universe, was the face. Tapolok, that is one of the seven worlds which is just below Satyalok, abode of Brahma, formed the forehead. Indra and all the Devas were the forearms. Sound was the organ of hearing. Learned men say that the Ashwini Kumars were the nose of the Virat Rupini Bhagavati. Fragrance was the organ of smell. Flames formed the face. Day and night were the two eyelids. Brahma was in the place of eyebrows. Water was the palate. Taste became the tongue. Yamraj formed the jaw. The teeth of Maheshwari were formed of love. Maya was her laughter. The creation was her glance, that is, Kataksh. Bashful modesty formed her upper lip. The lower lip of Virat Maheshwari was attraction. The path of unrighteousness is called the back. The creator of the universe, Prajapati Brahma, was the ling, that is prime nature of the Virat Roop. The ocean was the stomach. The mountains were the bones. The nadis of Maheshwari were the rivers. Trees formed the downy hair on her body. Her age was the aggregate of youth and old age. Dense black clouds formed her hair. Morning and night, twilight and dusk were her raiments. Rajan, at that time the mind of Bhagavati Jagdamba was the moon. The discretion was Hari, and Rudra formed her consciousness. All animals of the category of horses form the loins of Maheshwari. All the great lokas, from Atal to Patal, form the region from waist downwards. The most fortunate Devas got a darshan of this most magnificent Virat Roop of Bhagavati Jagdamba. Thousands of rays of light were blazing from all sides of her body. She was continuously licking her lips. Her teeth made grinding sounds and her eyes rained fire. She held in her hands all forms of weapons. It was a powerful and almighty form with 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 feet. The radiance was as blinding as the flashes of 1 crore lightnings and suns. It was an extremely awesome sight. It was ruthless and ferocious in appearance. The splendor and dignity filled the hearts with awe, and the gods began to exclaim. Their hearts beat faster, and many fainted. They had no recollection that this was in fact Bhagavati Jagdamba. The Vedas, who were sitting on all sides of this supreme, all pervading form, gave consciousness and sensibility to the gods who had fainted. When they regained consciousness, the gods picked up courage and remembered the grand stutis. With tears in their eyes and love and respect in their voices, they prepared to sing the praises of the Devi. The gods sang, Mother, we are your humble children. Forgive our transgressions and protect us. Deveshi, we became afraid on seeing your awesome form. We are dull and blunt. What stuti can we sing to adequately praise you? Your form is unaware of the magnitude of your strength, valor, and prowess, so how can we comprehend you? O you who rule over the creation, who are decorated with pranava, who sustains all Vedic knowledge, and who assumes the form of the seed mantra Hrimkar, we worship that Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari again and again. The one who is the source of fire, from whom the sun and the moon have manifested, from whom all medicines have taken form, we worship that universal form of Bhagavati. The one who has given birth to life, breath, food grains, heat, cold, devotion, truth, chastity, sacred precepts, to that Bhagavati we bow and worship again and again. The seven-headed life force, the seven fuels used in sacrifice, the seven Havanas and seven Lokas, the origin of which is Devi Bhagavati, are obeisance to you again and again. From whom is born the oceans, the mountains, the medicines, and all essences, to that Bhagavati are namaskars. To the one who has created yagyas, consecrations, and initiations, the sacrificial post, presents for Brahmins, Vedic hymns, rites, and psalm mantras, to that universal Bhagavati we offer our worship. Mata, from the front and from the back, from both the sides, from above and below, from all directions, we offer you worship and pranams. Deveshi, we pray, please withdraw this dazzling and awesome form and show us again that benign, mild, gentle, and completely beautiful form as before. Vyasji says, Rajan, Bhagavati Jagdamba is the ocean of compassion. Seeing the gods awestruck and almost paralyzed in fear, she hid her formidable form and instantly appeared in her most pleasing and gentle form. She held in her hands the news, goad, boons, and protection. Her body was soft and delicate. Her eyes were filled with tenderness and compassion. Her lotus like face had a beautiful smile. When the gods beheld this desirable and pleasing form, all their fear vanished. With their minds at peace and their total attention on her lotus feet, they bowed deeply in obeisance. Sri Devi said, Because I am Bhaktavatsala, who loves the devoted ones, I have shown this form of mine to you. Apart from this, nothing else can cause me to show this form. No amount of study of the Vedas, yoga, charity, tapasya, or yagyas, nothing can help. Rajendra, now listen to the counseling or Brahma Vidya. It is Paramatma who creates life forms in their various designations and denominations. Then, the characteristics necessary for their particular function comes into them. Then they get the ability to decide whether they will act in a dharmic or adharmic way. In their different lifetimes, they pass through various yonis or stratas of births and experience happiness and sorrows. As he advances into more lives, his tendencies and inclinations are formed. As a result of his actions, he merits a birth in a particular yoni or strata. He is never released from the cycle of happiness and sorrow, birth and rebirth. Like a watch, he has no time for stopping. His actions are in constant motion. The causal for this is only agyan, that is, non knowledge. Therefore, a man should always try to destroy avidya. When he achieves this, he is successful. The ending of mortality and the release from birth is totally dependent on destruction of avidya. This is the highest knowledge, the Nirmal Vidya. Himalaya, actions which are performed in the state of avidya cannot destroy avidya because both are against dharma. In fact, it is futile to try and destroy avidya by actions because nonsensical and meaningless actions creep in unawares, influenced by anger, hatred, and malice. Actions never cease. So, it is advisable for a human being to put all his efforts and attention on acquiring pure knowledge, Nirmal Vidya. Learned men say that by the performance of good actions, a man fulfills the purpose of his life. But since every human being aspires to unity with the Almighty, Nirmal Vidya is also absolutely necessary. Actions which are benevolent support pure knowledge but are not connected or related to pure knowledge. Because action and knowledge work in opposition. Like action causes the knot of illusion in the heart, whereas pure knowledge pierces that knot and unravels it. They cannot exist simultaneously, just like light and darkness cannot exist together in the same place. O intelligent one, all activities prescribed in the Vedas have to be performed within the boundaries of pure attention and clean heart. Therefore, they should be done diligently and carefully. Those actions are forgiveness, endurance, patience, freedom from worldly desires, and chitta shuddhi, pure attention. These actions are worth doing. Nothing else remains to be done. After doing the above, in other words, after attaining the state of sannyas, he must live with a Brahmin who is completely learned in the Vedas and make a thorough study himself. He must be alert about himself at all times. He must meditate on the meaning of Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi is the indication of the union of the Jiva with the Brahma. The human being, convinced of this union, loses all fear and merges into me. Himalaya, first you get the knowledge of the meaning of matter, then the meaning of the spoken word or expression. The word Tat verily means I or me. Tvam is the living being. There is no doubt in this. Learned and wise men say that Asi is used to indicate the union of Tat and Tvam. If the words get adulterated by mispronunciation or misinterpretation, it makes absolutely no difference to the power of the union. Therefore, the union should become your aim and destiny. If it is done with pure attention, the union happens. Once you feel the bodh or experience on your central nervous system, the duality ends and the union begins. This is the state of Devdutt that is given by God, given to God. Therefore, without the material body, Brahma is called the eternal spirit or male. The body, which is made of the five elements, is the vessel for experiencing pleasure and pain, happiness and sorrow. The fruits of all actions have to be experienced by the body and therefore it has to suffer the ravages of aging and sickness. Parvatraj, by the influence of Maya, This creation, which seems apparent and tangible, is actually an illusion because this material body is another aspect of my own Atma, that which is endowed with the five sense organs and five organs of action, the five vital breaths, and mind and intelligence, is named as Sukshma, subtle body by wise persons. This subtle body, devoid of the five elements, is considered to be the body of the spirit. That which is composed of the five elements and experiences happiness and sorrow is called the gross body. It is insensible, ignorant, and undefinable. This causal body of the Atma is called the third body. When the subtle, causal, and gross bodies cease to exist, then only Paramatma is left. Within all the three bodies, the five sheaths, that is Panchakoshas, exist. When these are renounced, then one achieves the nebulous state or Brahmapuch. Brahmapuch is that form or state of mind which remains after Neti Neti, that is, not this, not this. This spirit neither takes birth nor dies. When you reach that state, it is as if it has not happened, it had never happened, because it is unborn, eternal, ancient, and everlasting. Even when the body is killed, this is never killed. Those who consider the Atma, the killer, or the killed, are both ignorant because neither does it kill nor can it be killed. This Atma is minuter than the minutest, that is, atom, and greater than the greatest. It stays in the intelligence or consciousness of living beings. It is beyond belief and doubt, and only by the grace of Parameshwar one can experience its grandeur and dignity. Then all confusion and distress vanishes. Himalaya, Atma should be considered the rider in a chariot. The body is the chariot, intelligence is the charioteer, the mind is the reins, the senses are the horses. The Atma goes where the senses and mind takes him and keeps wandering among the sense objects and experiencing them. He who is full of avidya, whose mind is out of control, and who is impure, will never attain Nirmal Dham. He has to keep on taking births in this world. He who has acquired Nirmal Vidya, whose senses are tranquil, and who is pure and holy, he attains Nirmal Dham and never again has to be born in this world. He whose intelligence is a charioteer with wisdom, whose mind holds the reins with careful attention, only that charioteer can steer the chariot safely and bring the rider to my lotus feet. Listen to all that I have said carefully and introspect yourself. Then, with single pointed attention, sit on the asan, that is prayer mat, and meditate. Only after the yoga should one start meditating on the meaning of the supreme mantra. This mantra is known as Devi Pranav. The mantra and the meaning both should be meditated upon. In this mantra, the sound Ha is the gross body, Ra is the subtle body, and E is the causal body. Hrim is me, myself. Thus, the wise one recognizes the three bijas, that is seeds, within the three bodies and meditate on them individually and in totality, both being my forms. After this meditation only should one put attention on my complete form as you see me now. Then close your eyes and meditate on Bhagavati Jagadeshwari. At that time, there will be a balance between pran and apan, that is the life breaths. The eyes should be closed and in repose. There should be no thoughts whatsoever, no desires. You should not find faults with anyone, nor feel jealousy. Sit in a place where your attention will not be disturbed. Then, starting with the sound of the universe, Ha, combine it with the lustrous and divine sound Ra, and merge it into the embodiment of knowledge, E, and hold on to the total Satchitanand, producing divine mantra, Hreem. And finally, meditate on that supreme, universal form of mind which requires no speaker or words and is devoid of duality. Rajan, through this kind of meditation, the great and noble souls realize me. This is Ananya Bhakti, where the worshipper and the worshipped become one. He identifies with all my forms because there is no duality. This is God realization. Chapter 7, Episode 35. Devi imparts knowledge to Himalaya. Description of different yogas. Himalaya said, Bhagavati Maheshwari, please explain all those aspects of yoga which give complete knowledge, so that I can practice and become worthy of your Tattva Darshan, that is, the experience of the essence and principles of the Most Supreme. Sri Devi said, Giriraj, yoga is neither in the Akash, nor in the earth, nor in Patal. Those learned ones who are competent in yoga say that the union of the individual soul with the universal soul is yoga. O sinless Himalaya, there are 6 obstacles to the attainment of yoga. They are lust, that is calm, anger, that is krodh, greed, that is lobh, attachment, that is moh, conceit, that is mad, and jealousy, that is matsar. The one who is seeking yoga can, by its various practices, defeat these enemies and succeed in attaining yoga. Yoga has 8 branches. Yam, that is restraint of passions, Niyam, that is discipline, Asan, that is postures, Pranayam, that is restraining and regulating of breath, Pratyahar, that is austerity, restraining the sense organs, Dharana, that is steadying the attention, Dhyan, that is meditation, Samadhi, that is thoughtless awareness yoga. Seekers should practice this. There are 10 kinds of yam. Ahimsa, that is non-violence, Satya, that is truth, Asteya, that is not stealing, Brahmacharya, that is observance of celibacy, Daya, that is compassion, Saralta, that is innocence, Kshama, that is forgiveness, Dhriti, that is satisfaction, Parimit, that is regulated and temperate eating habits, and Pavitrata, that is purity. Parvatraj, it is written that there are 10 niyams, that is, codes of conduct given by me. Tap, that is devotion and penance, Santosh, that is contentment and satisfaction, Astik Bhav, that is belief in the existence of God, Dan, that is charity, worship of the gods, to be devoted to the principles and dogmas of scriptures and sacred books, to have a sense of shame and desist from evil deeds, Sadbuddhi, that is knowledge of the truth, wisdom, prayers and havan, that is burning away of negative tendencies. 5 kinds of asanas, that is postures, have been told: Padmasan, Swastikasan, Bhadrasan, Vajrasan, and Virasan. Sit with both legs folded and feet with soles upwards on each thigh. Put hands behind the back and with the right hand hold the right toe and with the left hand hold the left toe. This is called Padmasana and fills the yogi's heart with pleasure. From kneeling position, sit back in such a way that the soles of the feet are firmly placed between the knee and the thigh. Straighten the body. Yogis call this Swastikasana. Sit on the feet with both heels pressed underneath and hold both feet with the hands. This is the Bhadrasana. Yogis hold this asana in great respect. Gradually, place both feet on thighs close to the groin. Anchor the hands into the folds of the knees. This is Vajrasana. Sitting with one leg tucked into one groin and second leg tucked into second groin and straightening the back is Virasana. Breathing in through Ida, left nostril, for the length of time it takes to say Om 16 times is called Purak Pranayam. Then retain this air in the Sushumna for 64 counts of Om is called Kumbhak Pranayam. Then release this air up to 32 counts of Om through Pingala, right nostril. This is called Rechak Pranayam. Those who are proficient in the Yoga Shastras call this pranayam. This breathing technique should be repeated many times, increasing the time span of Purak, Kumbhak, and Rechak. It can be repeated at first 12 times, then 16, and then more often. Pranayam is of two kinds, Sagarbh and Vigarbh. That which is accompanied by chanting and meditation is called Sagarbh, and that pranayam which is without chanting and meditation is called Vigarbh. When the practice of pranayam causes perspiration, it is called Adham or inferior. That which causes trembling is medium, and that which causes the body to rise above the ground, that is levitation, is called the superior form. Till this state is achieved, one must keep practicing. The senses keep wandering, unrestrained, among worldly attractions. To detach them in a strong and disciplined way is called pratyahar. There are 12 points in the body where the vital breath should be held: big toes, heels, knees, groin, rectum, genitals, nabhi, heart, neck, throat, between eyebrows and top of the head, that is Sahasrara. This is called Dharana. Getting your attention into single point and meditating on Adi Shakti is called Dhyan. The final state of oneness or union of the Jivatma, that is soul, with the Paramatma, that is the Supreme Soul, is called Samadhi. This is the Ashtang or Eightfold Yoga. Now I will explain the most superior Mantra Yoga. Parvatraj, this great body of creation made up of 5 elements, is called Vishwa, that is universe. When one gets freed from the influence of sun, moon, and Agni, that is after realization, the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna come into balance, then there is union of Jiva Brahma. In this body, there are 3.5 crore nadis. Out of these, 10 are main, and out of these 10, 3 are the most vital. In the spine reside the sun, moon, and fiery light and brilliance. On the left side, the faultless white Chandra Nadi, called Ida, exists. It is verily the nectar-filled seed, energy of God's desire. On the right side is the sun channel called Pingala. It is the energy of action and creation. And in the middle is the lustrous Sushumna Nadi. Deep within lies the Swayambhu link, that is self existence, primordial energy, resplendent like 1 crore suns and containing the almighty powers of desire and existence, awareness and evolution, and action and creation. On top of it is the Maya Beach, that is the Satchit Anand endowing divine mantra, Hreem, and wrapped around in the 3.5 coils at the apex is the glowing golden Kundalini. Himalaya Raj, that divine Kundalini is not separate from me. One must meditate on the golden lotus which is outside it. This has 4 petals with the letters Va, She, Sha, and Sa. One must meditate on these sounds. This is the Mooladhara chakra. Above this lies the Shatkon, that is 6 petal lotus. Like the yellow flames of fire, it shines like a diamond. It has the letters Bh, Bh, Ma, Ya, Ra, and La. This is the Swadhisthana chakra. It is of the nature of Swa and should be considered the center for creation, that is Param Ling. Above this, in Nabhi is the center which blazes like thunder and lightning. Because it shines like a mani, that is gem, it is called the Manipur chakra. It is also called Mani Padma. It has 10 petals with the letters Dha, Dha, Na, Tha, Tha, Dha, Dha, Ni, Pa, Fa. This lotus is the abode of Sri Vishnu and is the means of getting his darshan. Above this, shining like the sun, is the Anahat chakra. It has 12 petals, each bearing the letter Kha, Kha, Gha, Gha, Gnya, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Ni, Ta, Ta. In the middle, blazing like 10,000 suns, is the Ban Ling, that is, emblem of Shiva. From this chakra comes sound without percussion. Because of this divine sound, the Munis call it Anahat. This lotus has joy giving qualities and the Supreme Spirit resides here. Above this is the 16 petal lotus called Vishuddhi. It has the 16 sounds A, A, E, E, U, U, Ru, Ru, Lu, Lu, A, I, O, Au, Aha. It is the color of smoke. It also has the divine Hamsa form, that is divine discretion, to help in achieving Nirmal Atma. It is also called Vishuddhakya Chakra and Akash Chakra. Above this is the Agya Chakra. Paramatma presides over this lotus. The will of God is transmitted from here. For this reason, it is called Agya Chakra. It is extremely pleasing and is decorated with the sound Hum and Ksham. Above this is a chakra called Kailash, and above that is the Rohini Chakra. O sinless one, I have told you all about the chakras. Crowning them all is the Sahasrara Chakra. Paramatma in zero state abides here. For this reason, it is also called Shunya Chakra. It has 1000 petals. This is the ultimate path of yoga. Now, what should be done, I will tell you. First of all, by means of pranayama, come into balance. Then, with full attention on Kundalini, invite her to rise. Then, In complete thoughtless awareness, invite Kundalini to make her way through all the chakras and enter the area of Sahasrara. Then, meditate on the union of Parashakti with Parameshwar Shambhu. This will give you a taste of the divine nectar that starts flowing down from Sahasrara. This should also be offered to the deities who preside over the 6 chakras. The more you practice this meditation, the more efficacious your mantras will become, that is, Sarva Mantra Siddhi. There is no doubt in this. This releases a man from the perplexities of old age and death and other travails of the world. He gets awakened within himself the attributes of Jagat Janani, which is myself. There is no doubt in this. Revered one, I have told you the best and ultimate path of yoga. Now listen carefully. I will explain Chitta Dharana Yoga, the yoga of attention. My form cannot be influenced or divided by directions, time, or regions. One who gets totally absorbed and engrossed with full attention on my Devi form gets his union with divine very fast and acquires the pure knowledge that is Nirmal Vidya. Invariably, due to impurities of thoughts and desires, the attention wavers and one cannot achieve yoga. In such a situation, the sadhaka, that is seeker, should keep trying this practice again and again. Parvatraj, my hands and feet are most pleasing. Pure attention should be put on each and every part of my divine body, accompanied by song of praise. Then attention on my whole being. Meditate on my entire self. Himalaya, until the mind and attention get fully immersed in my being, one should keep repeating the desired mantra and perform the havans and pujas. It is only after yoga that a mantra becomes effective and grants Nirmal Vidya. It is reciprocal. Without mantras being effective, there can be no yoga, and without yoga, mantras have no meaning. So, mantra and yoga should be done in balance and with pure, undisturbed attention. Then they can become the causal of divine union. In a house which is enveloped in darkness, one cannot see an earthen pot. But as soon as a lamp is lit, the pot becomes visible. Similarly, an Atma which is blinded by surrounding Maya can become visible in the light provided by mantras. Parvatraj, I have told you comprehensively about all the systems of yoga, but you need the guidance of a wise guru. Just by reading crores of scriptures, you cannot achieve anything. Therefore, one must practice under the guidance and supervision of a guru. Chapter 7, Episode 36. Himalaya receives knowledge from Devi. Description of Brahma Swarup. Sri Devi ji began to speak. Parvatraj, in this way, after getting yoga, you must meditate on the Brahma Swarupa Devi form of myself. Sit on an asana and with a bhakti which has no motives or strings attached, meditate on Brahma Swarup. What is Brahma Swarup? I am going to tell you. It is that which is the embodiment of life. It is that which stays in very close proximity. It is that which resides in the cave of the heart and is called Guhachar. It is that which is supreme and yet attainable. All those who make efforts, all those who breathe, all living things that open and shut their eyes, each and every one is contained within that Brahma. Truth and untruth, everything is that. It is beyond comprehension, cannot be understood by the mind. Know this. That which is light itself, which is extremely subtle, within whom exists all the lokas and the life forms that inhabit those lokas, that is, verily this imperishable and permanent Brahma. It is the life in all beings, the sound in all beings, and the mind in all beings. That is the supreme truth and ambrosial indestructible Tattva. O mild and gentle one, try to penetrate this mystery because it is penetrable. Become totally engrossed in it. O non-violent one, pick up as a symbolic weapon or bow the knowledge of Vedas given in the Upanishads. Then fix on it the arrow, sharpened by devotion. Then pull it with fully concentrated attention and make the indestructible, eternal Brahma your target. Pranav Om is the bow, Jivatma soul is the arrow, and Brahma is the destination of the arrow. Without any attachment and distraction, completely alert and with full realization, one should make this entry into Brahma and remain enmeshed and merged. That Brahma which encompasses and contains heaven, earth, the space between heaven and earth, Antariksh, all living things, all senses, the form of mind, Man-Buddhi, and intelligence and consciousness, is the one and only Paramatma. Know this. Leave everything else. This is the only bridge that leads to the nectar giving ambrosial Paramatma. Just like the wheels of a chariot have spokes radiating from the central axle, so also all the nadis of the body remain collectively anchored in the heart. It is within the heart that Parabrahma manifests his various aspects. He resides in the present as Antaryami, pervading the internal parts of the universe and the individual. Meditate on this Atma to the sound of Om. This takes you beyond the darkness of ignorance, across the ocean of illusion, to the place of Brahma. May you always be blessed with auspiciousness. He who is omniscient, he who is omnipotent, he is verily the all-pervading, all-encompassing Parabrahma. He works on the central nervous system and regulates the functions of the body. He makes into his abode the hearts of all those who possess gross bodies. The steady and prudent, through their wisdom and knowledge, get to see that most joy-giving, lustrous vision of the eternal Brahma. Once they see that Purushottam, who is the causal of all actions, it cuts the knot of avidya and all doubts and false knowledge gets destroyed. Then he gets a glimpse of Nirmaldham, the residence of the pure, indivisible Brahma, radiating faultless brilliance. It is the giver of light to even the most bright and shining object in creation. Only can be known by the self-realized. In that self-illuminating Nirmaldham, the light of the sun cannot be seen, nor the light of the moon, nor the flashes of lightning. What can one say of that source of light itself? It is the one which gives effulgence to the sun and luminosity to the moon. It enlightens the whole creation. It is Brahma who is in front, it is Brahma who is at the back, it is Brahma who is on the left, and it is Brahma who is on the right. It is Brahma who is spread out above and below. This entire creation is verily Brahma. The one who recognizes and experiences this has succeeded in his realization. They enjoy eternal bliss and awareness. They have no sorrows and doubts. Parvatraj, fear comes when there is the other. But when one gets the Ananya state, where there is no other, then there is no fear. The actual truth is that I am never separated from such a soul, and such a realized soul is never separated from me. Parvatraj, believe this without a doubt. I am he, and he is me. Wherever such a person resides, there you can have a darshan of me. I neither abide in the tirthas, holy places, nor do I abide in Kailash, nor do I abide in Vaikunth. I live in the lotus of the hearts of my devotees. He who reveres and respects a realized soul receives rewards 1 crore times more than when he performs puja to me. He whose attention is fully merged and absorbed in me, his entire clan gets purified. The one who has given him birth becomes auspicious, and the earth which supports him becomes holy and sanctified. O foremost among mountains, as you desired, I have given you the full Brahmagyan, Nirmal Vidya. This knowledge should only be given to a virtuous, humble, and modest eldest son who has deep devotion, and to other seekers who have these qualities. It is not to be given to others. The one who has parabhakti, the one who respects and reveres his guru, is only the one authorized to give this message, this Nirmal Vidya, to others. The one through whom this Nirmal Vidya is imparted, he is verily Parameshwar. You cannot pay or make compensation for this knowledge. That is why a Shishya always remains indebted to his Guru. The one who causes this knowledge to grow within you is more worthy of respect and veneration than your mother and father, because the life that they give you is destructible, but spiritual life is eternal and indestructible. Therefore, Parvatraj, one must never disrespect or rebel against the Guru. The Guru through whom Nirmal Vidya was born within you is the foremost person in your life. The Guru can save you from the wrath of Shiva, but even Shiva cannot save you from the wrath of the Guru. That is why, O Parvatraj, one must use body, mind, and obedience to please the Guru. Otherwise, it amounts to ingratitude, and for one who is ungrateful, there is no salvation. It happened a long time ago. Atharvan Muni entreated Indra to impart to him Brahma Vidya. Indra said, I will give you the Vidya, but if you give it to anyone else, I will cut off your head. The Muni gave his promise. Later, the Ashwini Kumars requested the Muni for the Brahma Vidya. When he told them that Indra would cut off his head, the Kumars said that they would rejoin the head. So the Muni gave them the Vidya and Indra cut off his head. The Ashwini Kumars, who were divine doctors, rejoined the head and brought the Muni back to life. This Nirmal Vidya is very difficult to attain, and once you get it, you should consider yourself very fortunate and blessed. Chapter 7, Episode 37. Discourse of the Devi, different kinds of bhakti, the importance and magnitude of acquiring divine knowledge. Himalaya said, Mother, please tell me what kind of bhakti should be practiced by simple people occupied in self interests so that we can easily obtain Nirmal Vidya. Devi said, Rajendra, there are 3 paths of mine by which you can get moksha. They are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Out of the 3, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest path as it does not put strain on the body or mind. According to the temperament and qualities of a person, this is also divided into 3 kinds. The one who goes into bhakti with the motive of causing pain to someone, or for revenge, or out of anger, that bhakti is called tamasi. Giriraj Himalaya, the one who does not wish pain or hurt to anyone, but has selfish motives, whose heart is never free from desires, who is always greedy and avaricious, and who worships me only for the fruits he will get because of his feeble understanding of who I am, such a person's bhakti is Rajasi. The one who surrenders all his actions, one whose only actions are directed at cleansing himself of sins, who follows the injunctions of the Vedas to keep oneself occupied in good deeds, and whose every movement is aimed at pleasing me, his bhakti is sattvic. This helps in attaining me. I can never be attained by tamasic and rajasic bhakti. Now I am going to tell you about the greatest form of bhakti. Listen carefully. You must constantly meditate on my qualities and sing my praises. I am a treasure house of the gems of auspiciousness and virtues. Keep your attention on my lotus feet like a constant stream of oil. Never entertain rational or irrational thoughts. There are 4 privileges attached to mukti. They are samipya or nearness or proximity to the divine, sayugya or ultimate union with divine, salokya or omnipresent company of the divine, sarshti or uninterrupted vision of the divine. One must never allow even a germ of anticipation or desire for this to rise within the attention. Always recognize and understand that there is nothing greater or more important than service to me. One should be so deeply engrossed in the worship state that even there is no knowledge of desire for moksha. With unbreakable, unconquerable bhakti and shraddha, faith and devotion, one should put attention on me and me alone. There should be no consciousness of any separateness between you and me. All living things are my form. This knowledge should be firmly established within. One must feel equal affection for self and others. Param Chaitanya embraces and envelops all alike. This fact should always be in your awareness. Have respect for everyone with the full knowledge that I abide within all beings. Parvatraj Himalaya, even a Chandal, is a form of Bhagavati. These are the sentiments you should have. Shed your differences and have no animosity or hostility. Visit my holy places, darshan, meet my collective bhaktas, listen to my scriptures, and keep faith and reverence in my mantras. May my vibrations always bubble within you, and may your body experience peace and tranquility. May tears of love flow from your eyes, and may joy and happiness overwhelm your voice. Parvatraj, I am the Parameshwari who created this universe. I am the root cause of all causals. My everlasting and causal activities are divine. Observe all activities and ceremonies as directed by me without miserliness. Himalaya, people should eagerly look forward to my festivals and celebrate them with enthusiasm and joy. These feelings should become innate. With raised voices, they should sing and dance in my name. There should be no ego. Vanity and self conceit should be renounced. It should be understood that destiny will give only those fruits that we merit by our past actions. Do not worry about life and death. Bhakti that is performed in the aforesaid ways is called Parabhakti. When no other deity excepting Devi is worshipped, that is Parabhakti. When one does not even remember or think of any other deity, this is Parabhakti. Himalaya, when this kind of pure unadulterated bhakti awakens in the heart of a devotee, that very instant he becomes entitled to the dignity of becoming a cell in my divine body. The highest point of bhakti is Gyan. Even the ultimate step of renunciation and asceticism is Gyan, because when you get the Nirmal Vidya, it is the culmination of both bhakti and renunciation, detachment. Himalaya, if at all any devotee of mine does bhakti but does not attain Gyan, then he goes to my divine Manidweep. There, without getting entangled in the pleasures, he bides his time. Girivar, ultimately, he gets the Gyan of my entire form. That is the moment of his moksha or release. Nirmal Vidya is the most unfailing means of obtaining moksha. All are my forms and I exist in all. Whoever understands this mystery can never fall into confusion. He who uses this knowledge in all things, who constantly meditates on Brahma, gradually gets absorbed into Brahma. Like someone is wearing a gold necklace, but because of illusion and confusion, it seems as if it is not there, it is lost. But later, when wisdom prevails, the illusion melts away and the necklace is visible again. Because in reality, it was there all the time. In the same way, Parvatraj, I am in the existence in all the forms, but because of non knowledge, I appear separate and diverse. He who has achieved renunciation but has not attained Gyan and dies in that state, he gets a place in Brahmalok. He stays there for a kalpa, a day of Brahma consisting of 4,320 lakh years. Then he takes birth in the house of a deeply religious and honorable man. Then, with bhakti and meditation, he attains Nirmal Vidya. Rajan, it takes many births and sincere efforts to attain this Nirmal Vidya. So, one should be constantly engrossed in acquiring divine knowledge. If there is any slackness or lack of dedication, it can cause irreparable harm. Because to get a human birth again is very difficult. Even if he gets a human birth, it will not be in the house of a realized soul or a man well versed in the Vedas. He will never be endowed with noble qualities like control over senses, self restraint, tolerance, patience, fortitude. It will be almost impossible to have a competent guru and to actualize his yoga. Even if he has the fitness and the ability to use his sense organs, he will not be able to maintain the purity of body and mind. Only when there is an accumulation of punyas of many births, a desire for moksha is born within a human being. After all this, if a man does not make efforts for acquiring gyan, then his birth is futile and worthless. Therefore, Rajan, it is imperative that one should get totally engaged in acquiring Nirmal Vidya through the practice of bhakti. On the path of knowledge, every step gives the fruit of an Ashwamedha Yagya. Like the ghee which is hidden in the milk, so also Gyan lies hidden in the heart of every being. A person should use his mind as a churning stick and draw this knowledge out. The Vedas have always declared that once you acquire Nirmal Vidya, you get released from worldly bondage. Himalaya, I have told you the essence. What else do you desire to hear? Chapter 7, Episode 38. Devi tells about her holy places of worship, austerities, festivals, and pujas. Himalaya said, Deveshi, tell me about all those places on earth which are dear to you, which are holy, and which should be visited on pilgrimage. Please also tell us about disciplines to be observed and festivals to be celebrated, so that the purpose of my birth may be fulfilled. Sri Devi said, whatever place on this earth is visible, All those places are mine. Every moment is for discipline, and all times are right times for celebrating my festival. Because I am all encompassing and I exist in all forms. But still, Parvatraj, because I am Bhakta Vatsala, I love my devotees, I will name a few places. Listen with full attention. Kolhapur is the seat of my divine aspect of Lakshmi. She permanently resides there. In Madhupur resides Bhagavati Renuka. Then there is Tuljapur and Saptashringi. The places named after the presiding Devi are Hindula, Jwalamukhi, Shakambari, Brahmari, Raktadantika, and Durga. The highest place of Bhagavati Vindhyachali is the Vindhya mountain. Annapurna Sthan and Kanchipur Sthan are very important. The places of Devi Bhima and Vimala bear the names of the goddess. The great place of Sri Chandrala is in Karnataka. There is also a place called Kaushiki. The place of Neelamba Devi is on the summit of Neel Parvat. Jambunadeshwari resides in a place near Srinagar. Bhagavati Guhya Kali has her place in Nepal. The main place of Bhagavati Meenakshi is Chidambaram. Devi Sundari resides in Vedharanya. Bhagavati Parashakti is venerated in a place called Ekambar. Bhagavati Mahalasa and Yogeshwari reside in places named after them. Devi Neel Saraswati has her abode in China. Devi Bhagala has a sacred place in Vaidyanath Dham. I contain all the Ishwaris within me and I am Bhuvaneshwari. My residence is called Manidvi Parvat. Shankar was wandering the earth with the body of Sati across his shoulders. Where the organ of generation fell is the place called Kamru. There resides Bhagavati Tripura Sundari. This place, which is adorned by Mahamaya, is the jewel among all the holy places. In the whole world, there is no place greater than this. It is such a magnetic and vibrating place that every month the phenomena of the female cycle of nature takes place. During that time, all the gods retire to the mountain top and stay there for that duration. The wise say that during this period, the entire earth of that place takes on a feminine hue. Know this, O Himalaya, there is no place which is greater or more sacred than this Kamakhya Yoni Mandal. Himalaya, the place endowed with majesty, the Pushkar region, is the seat of Bhagavati Gayatri. Amarkantak is the place of Bhagavati Chandika. Bhagavati Pushkarekshini presides in the Prabhas region. Naimisharanya is very holy. There the greatly endowed Bhagavati Lalita reigns. Pushkar is the place of Devi Puruhuta and Ashadi is the place of Devi Rati. In the place called Dhandamunid resides the slayer of the demons Chand and Mund, Bhagavati Parameshwari. In Bharbhuti resides Devi Bhuti and in Nakul resides Devi Nakuleshwari. In the place called Harishchandra resides Bhagavati Chandrika and on Mount Shrishel resides Bhagavati Shankari. In Japeshwar resides Devi Trishula and in Amarakeshwar resides Devi Sukshma. Devi Shankari reigns in Mahakal in Ujjain. In a place called Madhyam stays Devi Sharvani. In the holy land of Kedar presides Devi Margadayini. Devi Bhairavi reigns in Bhairav and Bhagavati Mangala reigns in Gaya. Devi Sthanupriya lives in Kurukshetra and Devi Swayambhuvi lives in Nakul. Devi Ugra resides in Kankal. The place of Devi Vishvesha is Vimleshwar. In a place called Athas presides Devi Mahananda. Devi Mahantaka lives on the Mahendra Parvat. On Bhima Parvat lives Bhagavati Bhimeshwari. Bhagavati Shankari presides over Vastrapat. Devi Rudrani lives on the mountain Ardhakoti Parvat. In the region of Avimukt lives Devi Vishalakshi. Devi Mahabhaga resides in Mahalay. Devi Bhadrakarni lives in Gokarn. Devi Bhadrasya lives in Bhadrakarnak. In a place called Suvarnaksh lives Devi Utpalakshi. In Sthanu lives Devi Stanvisha. Devi Kamala reigns in Kamalalai. In Changalandag in the south, on the seashore, lives Devi Prachanda. In Kurandal lives Devi Trisandhya. In Makut lives Devi Brikuteshwari. In Mandlesh lives Devi Shandaki. On Kalanjar Parvat lives goddess Kali. On Mount Shankukarn resides Bhagavati Dhwani. On Mount Stulkeshwar resides Devi Stula. Parameshwari Hrileka resides in the lotus of the collective hearts of realized souls. Parvatraj Himalay, all these holy places are dear to the Devi. First, one must listen to the significance and greatness of all these places, then perform pujas as prescribed in the Shastras. Actually, Nagaraj, all these holy places exist in Kashi. Therefore, through uninterrupted worship and devotion to the Devi, one strives to live in Kashi. Station yourself there and you get a darshan of all the sacred abodes of the Devi and spend your days worshipping by mantras and pujas and meditate on the most sacred and divine lotus feet. This grants the ultimate boon of release from worldly bondage. Himalay, the person who wakes up early in the morning and utters these precious names of the Devi, all his sins are instantly turned to ashes. During prayers for the ancestors, uttering these holy names gives them salvation and a place in heaven. Himalay, you who observe all austerities and dharmas, I will explain disciplines, vrat, to you. This is for men and women alike and should be observed carefully. The Tritiya Vrat, which is performed on the third day of each half of the lunar month, is called by three other names Ananta Tritiya Vrat, Raskalyani Vrat, and Ardha Andhakari Vrat. On Fridays and on Chaturdashi, 14th day of the lunar month, one must observe Devi Vrat. Pradosh, on the 13th half of a lunar month, is that Vrat of the Devi when in the dark night Shiva places his beloved on an asan and with all the gods dances for her entertainment. On that day, one must observe austerities and perform puja to the Devi. This Vrat and puja is particularly pleasing to the Devi and should be done on every half of the lunar month. Himalay, observing Mondays as my holy day is also very pleasing to me. One must fast and abstain from distractions the whole day. Then in the night one should perform puja to me and then eat food. The Navratras of Chaitra and Ashwin are very dear to me. Rajan, there are many such regular and casual fasts. Those who are free from hatred and malice and jealousy and perform these disciplines get as a boon their self-realization. I count such a person as my devotee and one who is dear to me. Rajan, during these practices, one should decorate a swing and celebrate. There are also other festivals like Shayanotsav, swing, Jagranotsav, keeping vigil, and Rathotsav, chariot, and Dhamanotsav. It is necessary to celebrate these. There is a festival in Shravan, fifth month of the Hindu year, which gives me great pleasure. My devotees should celebrate this. They should serve food to my devotees and also to maidens and brahmacharis. Generously, they should perform puja with flowers and gifts to the unmarried daughters of Brahmins and brahmacharis. Those who celebrate these festivals regularly are dear to me. Himalay, I have told you, in short, all these things which are dear to me. Those who have no faith or interest in these things should never be told about it. Chapter 7, Episode 39. Description of different kinds of puja to the Devi. Himalay said, Devashri, Maheshani, Karunanidhi, Ambike, please they to tell us all the ways in which we can please you while performing your puja. Sri Devi says, Rajan, Parvatraj, I am going to tell you the precise and correct way to perform pujas to me. Listen to me with complete devotion and attention. My puja is of two kinds, outward, external, and inward, internal. The outward is again of two kinds, Vedic and Tantric. Himalay, when pujas are performed with the mantras appropriate to the deity being worshipped, it is called Vediki. And pujas where mystical formulas are used for the attainment of supernatural powers, it is called Tantriki Puja. Thus, anyone who performs or participates in a puja without proper knowledge is in great danger of falling down and getting lost. First, I will tell you about the Vaidiki Puja. Himalay, you were fortunate to have a darshan of my most glorious and majestic form, so extensive it had no boundaries, and which was endowed with all the great Shaktis. That is the form you must worship by puja, praises, meditation, and surrender. Parvatraj, this is the highest form of worship. With great care, with tranquil mind, and single pointed attention, and without any ego, hypocrisy, or arrogance, you must go to the lotus feet of that Devi. Throughout the puja, that image should be in your heart. The link between chanting and meditation should never be broken. With pure love and Ananya Bhakti, every action of puja and yajna should be performed solely to please me. If you can do this, by my grace you will get your moksha. He who is totally surrendered to me and who keeps me constantly in his attention, he is my greatest bhakta. It is my promise that I will deliver him from this bhavasagar. Rajan, Karma Yoga is not the only way to attain me. I can also be attained by Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Gyan Yoga. Karma is not purposeless because by virtue of good deeds, sins get destroyed and dharmic disposition is established. Dharmic disposition gives birth to bhakti. Bhakti is instrumental in acquiring the pure Nirmal Vidya. Good deeds which are performed because of knowledge of the scriptures and codes of law delivered by tradition is called dharam. The dharam which is contained in all the scriptures is only written instruction. I am of the complete form of knowledge and omnipotent, having unlimited power to do everything. Because the Vedas manifested from me, they are endowed with these same qualities. From the Vedas came Shruti, the revealed law which is authentic. In the light generated by Shruti came Smriti, code of law delivered by tradition, which is known as Manu Smriti. and others. The authenticity of the Shrutis and Smritis have been substantiated by themselves. Therefore, the seeker of moksha should take resort to the Vedas for acquiring Vidya. Just as no one in this world can question the decree of a king, so also which human being can question the Shrutis which have manifested from me, the master of all knowledge? My commands should be carried out for this specific purpose. I created Brahman, Kshatriya, and other categories. Shruti is my voice and language, and one must understand the purpose and significance of it. They are authoritative. Himalaya, whenever dharma declines and evil prevails, I incarnate myself. Rajan, that is why the Devas and the Daityas got divided. Those who do not act according to the truth and the divine laws which are congenial to me, for them I have created different kinds of hell. Those hells are so atrocious and hideous that just by hearing about them the heart begins to tremble. Those who renounce the dharmas contained in the Vedas and adopt other dharmas should be expelled by the kings and thrown out of their kingdom. The realized souls should neither speak to them nor permit them to sit in the collective. Whatever other scriptures exist in world are contradictory and inconsistent with all the Shrutis and Smritis, and for this reason they are called Tamasi. The names of those scriptures are Vam, Kapal, Kaulak, and Bhairvagam. These were fostered by Shiva to put one into illusion and delusion. It does contain some portions which are not against the Vedas. If learned men can identify those portions, there is no harm. To accept anything which is contrary in meaning to the Vedas is unauthorized. Therefore, it is desirable to only go to the Vedas for pure knowledge. This is the permanent and immortal Dharma. It is only through this that one can get enlightenment of Parabrahma. He who renounces all desires, who is compassionate to all living things, who is free from vanity and ego, whose attention is permanently anchored in me, whose life is surrendered to me, and who is the channel for spreading awareness about me, if that sannyasi, vanaprasthi, who has retired to the forest, grihasti, householder, or brahmachari, vow of celibacy, worships my Virat Roop, I will remove all his non knowledge with the brilliant light of Nirmal Vidya. There is no doubt in this. Himalaya, observing the principles and doctrines of the Vedas, constitutes my first puja. I have just described it to you. Now I will tell you the procedure and protocol of my second puja. You may use an image, a Vedi, altar, a sphere of the sun or the moon, water, a diagram, a painted portrait, or the lotus of your heart. Place me, the Parameshwari, there and worship me. You should meditate on my attributes and qualities. Thus, Devi is the ocean of compassion. She is fresh and youthful. The tint of her complexion is exquisite like the red skies during sunset. Her divine form is of ultimate beauty. All her limbs are most pleasing to behold. Her decoration and ornamentation is flawless. Nothing is missing. She gets saddened by the sorrows of her bhaktas. The divine face of Devi Jagadamba is filled with smiles of happiness. Her crown bears the new moon and is adorned with peacock feathers. She holds a noose and gourd in two hands, and the other two are held in Abhaydhan Mudra. She is in the form of joy. With the mind absorbed in this meditation, get the samagri and perform the puja. Till you get the permission for inner puja, you must perform this outward worship. As soon as you become entitled to perform inner worship, you can discontinue this puja. In a very short time, this inner puja merges with the Nirmal Vidya. This unconditional Vidya is my supreme form. You must always keep your attention on this form of mine. Beside this supreme form, everything else in this created world is untruth. That is why, to end this cycle of birth and death, one must meditate on me. I am the witness and the Supreme Spirit. After getting self realization, one must keep me constantly in the attention. Himalaya. After this, I am going to tell you about the outward forms of worship. Listen with careful attention. Chapter 7, Episode 40. Puja Protocols. Sri Devi said, Himalaya, wake up early in the morning and meditate on the pure thousand petal lotus on your Brahmarandra. The meditation should be like this. This lotus is pure and white like Kapoor. My most supreme Guru is seated on this lotus throne. Her face is happy and shining. All kinds of ornaments adorn her. After this, meditate on Devi Kundalini in this way. When the primordial mother made her first journey, that is, when she arrived at Brahmarandra, then her form was a bundle of radiant cool flames. Then, when she reached her abode Kundalini, she became golden, ambrosial in the sacrum bone. When she rises in the innermost channel Sushumna, this same supreme primordial Shakti gives darshan as an ordinary gentle lady. Her form is extremely pleasing. I worship at the lotus feet of that Devi. Rajan, after this, put your attention on the pinnacle of the Risen Kundalini and meditate on my Satchit Anand Swarupini form. This should be the final step of your evening meditation. Then you may perform Havan. After the Homa, sit on an asan and perform puja to me. First, purify your body. The first Maya Bij Ram should be uttered. Then Ha for Mooladhar, R for heart, E for Hamsa between the eyebrows, and Hrim for the forehead. Then one by one repeat all the nyasas. The sentiment should be that my whole body is an altar, peeth of the divine. All the gods, including Dharm, are present in their seats. Then the meditation should be, by the virtue of my balanced breathing, the lotus of my heart is open. It is made of 5 great spirits. Seated on this throne is Bhagavati Mahadevi. Himalaya, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Ishwar, and Sadashiva. These 5 gods are called Panchapreta or 5 great spirits. They abide at my lotus feet, meaning that 4 of them form the columns of my dayas and one is the canopy. The 5 elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the 5 states of wakefulness, sleep, slumber, auspiciousness, or blessedness, and beyond, Atit, are controlled and regulated by them. My almighty form is an unknown quantity. I am beyond all these states. It is a fact that Brahma and all the gods respond to the invitation and are present at my pujas. They should be properly welcomed. Then you should perform a puja of the offerings. Then chant the holy names of Sri Devi, which is myself, and make arrangements to give arghya, adorable, precious, and valuable items worthy to be presented to me. First of all, purify all the vessels which will be used by pronouncing the mantra Om Fat. All the quarters or directions should also be purified by pronouncing this mantra. Then one must prostrate before the Guru and offer pranams. After worshipping me as your Supreme Guru, the Guru of all the Gurus, you must perform the Bahya Puja, outward puja as instructed by me. Rajan, my pleasing divine form, which has been enthroned in the sadhaka's heart, should be invited, Avahan, to be seated on the Singhasan. This should be accompanied by the Veda mantras and total involvement of the attention. All the formalities of offering a seat, invitation, and begging permission to perform the puja, offering of arghya, washing of feet, offering water for rinsing the mouth, offering perfumed water for bath, and offering vestments, clothes should be completed with deep reverence and respect. 2 cloths, saris, should be offered. Ornaments, shringar items, 5 great perfumes, kunkuma, kesar, kasturi, aguru, chandan, kapoor, fragrant flowers, and other worthy articles should be offered with bhakti and humility. Then the proper welcome and reception should be offered to all the deities who come to attend the puja. Those who cannot perform puja daily should fix Fridays as their regular puja day. Now I will tell you the connection with the other devatas. First of all, you should pay obeisance to Mool Devi. She is radiant and enlightens the 3 worlds. After you have worshipped all the attending devatas, you must perform puja to me as Mool Devi, the principal deity. It is imperative that you try to please me by offering flowers, chandan, fragrant incense, clothes, vastra, naivedya, tarpan, water for libation, tambul, betel leaf and betel nut, and dakshina. I get very pleased when you recite the Sahasranama, 1000 names of the Devi that you have composed. Rajan, the Kavach, the Aham Rudrobhihi Sukta, the Devi Atharva Shirsha, and other great mantras should be chanted to please me and awaken my Shaktis. Then everyone should fill their hearts with deep devotion and love and very humbly pray to me, the Jagadamba, to graciously forgive all trespasses and transgressions. The devotion, dedication, and love should be so great that tears fill the eyes, voices get choked with feeling, and the hair on the body stands on end. Again and again, one should sing and dance to please me. All the Vedas and Puranas are filled only with my praises and glory because they have come out of my omniscience and my omnipotence. Therefore, you should make use of the Vedas and Puranas to please me. One should offer daily to me once everything, including body and soul. Perform homas, offer food to Brahmins and Suhagan ladies, married. Feed also the small innocent children. Then, in the same order as you welcome the Devatas, you should arrange their departure. O Himalaya, you who observe the highest discipline, my puja gets completed with the Hrileka mantra, the Hrimkar, as this is the origin, the source of all the mantras. This mantra is like a mirror, and my reflection keeps appearing on it. The single mantra causes acceptance of all offerings, however unworthy. After this, the Supreme Guru, who is also your mother and also your goddess, should be worshipped with offerings and samagri befitting the Guru. Nothing remains at any time unavailable or unattainable to the Bhakta who worships in this way Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari. After relinquishing his body, he goes straight to my place, Manidvipa Nirmal Dham. He gets the form of the Devi and the Devas completely bow down to him. Rajan, thus I have explained to you the procedures and protocols of puja to Mahadevi. Put it into your attention and as per your means and privileges, get engrossed in my pujas. It will endow on you all kinds of blessings and auspiciousness. This knowledge, this Shastra that I have given you is the holy Devi Gita. You are not to tell it to those who are not my devotees, those who are enemies, and those who are cunning. If one gives out the secret, it is equal to the sin of disrobing your mother to public gaze. So keep the secret carefully guarded from unworthy people. It can be given to the eldest son who is obedient, virtuous, trustworthy, and who is devoted to the Devi. During Shraddh, if this reading is done in the company of Brahmins, the forefathers get authorized to enter the Param Dham of the Devi. Vyasji says, after saying all this, the Devi removed herself from their sight. The Devas were profoundly grateful for this darshan. Vyasji says, Rajan, in due course, Devi took birth in the house of Himalaya and was called Haimvati. This is the same Devi who manifested as Gauri and who was given to Shankar by Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari. After this, Swami Kartikeya was born and he vanquished Tarakasura. Now, the manifestation of Lakshmi will be described. Rajan, it happened a long time ago. The ocean was being churned. Many gems were obtained. The gods had begun to sing stutis to Bhagavati Jagadamba for the manifestation of Lakshmi. To fulfill their prayer, Bhagavati Jagadamba herself manifested as Sri Lakshmi. On the request of the Devas, Lakshmi was given to Bhagavan Vishnu. Rajan, I have described to you the greatness and majesty of the Devi. This story of the manifestation of Gauri and Lakshmi fulfills all desires. This should not be told to all and sundry because it is a precious and valuable knowledge. O sinless Rajan, whatever you desire to know, I have told you in a condensed form. This story itself is pure and purifies all who read or hear it. Now, what else would you like to know? End of chapter 7. Chapter 8, Episode 1 2. In the beginning of creation, Swayambhu Manu sings stutis to the Devi. Story of Varaha Avatar. Janmejay said, O learned Brahmin, I have already heard the nectar filled stories from you about the kings of the sun and moon dynasties. I now desire to hear the pure and spotless stories of Bhagavati Jagadamba in every Manvantar, era or age, whichever places and for whatever reasons pujas have been offered to the Devi, together with knowledge of the mantras and protocols used. Please tell me every single thing that you know. Please also describe to me the most awesome and magnificent Virata Roop of the Devi. Vyasji says, Rajan, listen, I am going to tell you about that greatest puja which not only blessed those who performed it but also blesses those who listen to this narration. It is an ancient story. This same request was made by Naradji to Bhagwan Vishnu. That source, originator, and master of yoga Bhagwan Vishnu gave him the knowledge, and I am recounting it to you. Once long ago, in ancient times, Sri Narada, son of Brahmaji, was roaming on the earth and he reached the ashram of Bhagwan Narayan. He placed a question before Yogatma Sri Narayan. Naradji said, Deveshwar, God of gods, you are the knower of all the Puranas. You are the sustainer of all the gods. You support the universe, omniscient, in whom all the qualities are expanded. Bhagwan, please give me the knowledge of Adi Tattva, the primordial principle. Out of whom did this world manifest? Who sustains and protects it? And who dissolves it? In what circumstances was the karmafal created? What is a secret knowledge that can defeat spiritual ignorance and give freedom from the bonds of Maya? And what are the forms of chanting, meditation, and pujas that will bring divine light into this dark and unenlightened world? Prabhu, be kind and benevolent and give us this Nirmal Vidya which will help the world to cross the ocean of illusion and continue their ascent. Vyasji says, Rajan, Bhagwan Narayan is Yogeshwara, crowning glory of the Munis and the eternal Purusha. On the request of Devrishi Narada, the Lord began to speak. Bhagwan Narayan said, Devrishi Narada, hear now about the utmost and sacred primordial Tattva. In the whole universe, there is only one Tattva, and that is Bhagavati Jagadamba. I have already mentioned this before. This is also the evidence of the gods, the rishis, the Gandharvas, and other wise and learned men. It is she who creates, nourishes, and dissolves the universe. By virtue of being Trigunatmika, the entire responsibility rests on her. I am now going to describe that aspect of the Devi who is worshipped by those who are knowledgeable, realized souls, who removes all obstacles for those who invoke her, and who is also the giver of the invaluable gift of self realization and moksha, freedom from bondage. Brahmaji's sons are known as Swayambhu and other Manus. The wife of these illustrious and dignified Manus was Shatrupa. They are known as the progenitors of the world. Once, long ago, the glorious Swayambhu Manu went to his father, the most holy Prajapati Brahmaji. Brahmaji said to him, Son, you should engage yourself in the worship of the most powerful Bhagavati Jagadamba. Only if she is pleased, you will succeed in your pure and chaste work of creating progeny, Prajasrishti. This most respected and glorious Swayambhu obeyed his father and continuously engaged himself in the worship of Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari with the sole purpose of pleasing her. The Devi is verily the creator of the gods, the primordial Adishakti, the Maya, and the cause of all the causals. Swayambhu, with great caution and attention, began his singing of stutis to the goddess. Manuji said, O causal of the cause of the universe, O you who hold in your hands Shankh, Chakra, and Gada, conch, discus, and mace, and you who reign supreme in the heart of Srihari, O Bhagavati Deveshwari, obeisance to you again and again. You who are the embodiment of the Vedas, O Bhagavati Jagadambike, from whom all creation is renewed, O you who are the knower of the three Vedas, O supreme object of worship of the Devas, embodiment of auspiciousness, Parabrahma Parameshwari, the great Lord and Mother of the universe, supreme enjoyer of the creation, divine providence, Mahamaya, the supreme creator of illusion and confusion, worshipped by the highest, eternal companion of Shiva, beloved of Mahadev, Gopendra Priya, the supreme power of the dark blue god, the most ancient and eternal one, the Mahananda, ultimate bliss, destroyer of evil tendencies in her devotees, who is worshipped by the gods. Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. O Devi Narayani, of supreme generosity, giver of boons to the Trimurtis, O sacred spouse of Sadashiva, you are the bestower of fulfillment, who gives loving care to those who come for shelter. Sharanagat Vatsala. O goddess having three eyes, O Devi Gauri, obeisance to you again and again. O Devi, on whose desire the whole creation was manifested, who pervades the world, who is the Param Chaitanya, who is alone, the unitary basis of the plurality of the universe, who has no beginning and no end, who is the source of all radiance and light, on whose beckoning Brahma creates universes, Vishnu protects, and Rudra dissolves. That Devi to whom the god Brahma did stutis and prayed for protection from Madhu Kaitav. To that Devi Bhagavati Jagadamba I offer my 1,000 pranams. O Devi, verily you are Kirti, honor and fame, Smriti, recollection, Kanti, lustrous beauty, Kamala, Girija, Sati, Dakshayani, Vedgarbha, Buddhidhatri, and countless other aspects. O Mother, I beg you to accept my stuti, puja, pranam, jap, dhyan, reflection, installing you in my heart, and listening to stories of your greatness and majesty. Kindly be pleased with me. O Devi, who assumes the sweetest and most pleasing forms, it is by your gracious benevolence that Brahma has become the treasure house of the Vedas. Sri Hari has become the Swami of Lakshmi, Indra has become Lord of Triloki, Varun has become the god of the waters, Kuber has become the divine treasurer, Yamraj the ruler of the dead, Nairith king of the demons, and Chandrama became an object of veneration. O Devi Jagadambike, obeisance to you again and again. Bhagwan Narayan says, Devrishi Narad, Brahmaputra Swayambhu Manu worshipped the Devi in this way. She became pleased and spoke to Manu. Sri Devi said, Rajendra, Brahmaputra, whatever you desire, ask for that boon. I am extremely pleased with your stuti, bhakti, and worship. Manu said, O most compassionate and benevolent Devi, if I have pleased you, please grant that the creation of humanity is accomplished without any obstacles or impediments. Sri Devi said, Rajendra, by the favor of my boon and blessings, your responsibility of creating humanity will be fulfilled without any hindrance or impediments and will continually grow. Whoever has bhakti and worships me with your stutis and puja will obtain knowledge, progeny, fame, and honor. There should be no doubt in this. Rajan, by virtue of this stuti that you have composed, human beings will get prosperity and auspiciousness. They will never lose their energy. They will be victorious over all obstacles. Bhagwan Narayan says, after giving this boon to the most intelligent and illustrious Brahmaputra Swayambhu Manu, Devi Bhagavati Jagadamba removed herself from his side. After receiving this precious boon, Raja Swayambhu went to his father Brahmaji and said, Honored father, please give me some isolated and secluded place where I can go and start my work of creation. I will worship the Devi by performing yagyas. I await your order. Brahmaji was the lord of the creation, Prajapati, and also he was very powerful. Hearing his son Manu, he contemplated for a long time. He wondered, how can this work of creating progeny be successfully accomplished? Since long I have been creating this world, but the earth is not able to stabilize. The waters of the ocean keep drowning her. In this situation, only Adipurush Bhagwan can help me. Sri Narayan says, O great Tapasvi Narad, these thoughts were causing ripples in the mind of Brahma. All the Manus, all the Devas were on all four sides. O sinless Narada, just then there emerged from the front of his nose a tiny baby boar as small as a finger. Narad, in front of their eyes, he assumed a huge form. He became as big as an elephant. Padmayoni Brahma was seated, and all the gods, Brahmins, and rishis were around him. He thought, which divine personality is this who has assumed the form of a boar and come out of my nostrils? This is most amazing. Just now he was the size of a finger, and before our very eyes he has become as huge as the king of the mountains. I am certain this is Bhagwan Sri Hari. The great creator Brahma was contemplating thus when suddenly the boar form of Sri Hari roared deeply. This sound sent waves of happiness through Brahma and all those present. All the directions vibrated with the sound. The announcement of Bhagwan Varaha is the rumbling, snorting sound. When the tapasvis, rishis, Brahmins, and members of Satyalok heard it, they immediately began to chant stotras from the Rig, Sam, and Yajur Vedas. Bhagwan Varaha was pleased and cast a benevolent glance at all those present. Then he entered the ocean. The waves caused by his entry sent fear into the heart of Samudra. He prayed, O Bhagwan, who removes the sorrows of all who take refuge in you, please protect me. The all encompassing Sri Hari was himself the boar. Hearing the prayer of Samudra, he carefully avoided all the marine creatures and began to search the waters for Prithvi. He was using his snout to catch the smell of earth. Bhumi became aware of the presence of the Lord. At that time, Bhumi, who gave sustenance and protection to all living things, was herself hiding in the water. The boar incarnation of Devadidev Bhagwan Sri Hari lifted her with his tusks and placed her on the tips. It was a most beautiful sight, as if a tiny lotus was being supported by 8 elephants. Yagyesh, Yagyapurush, Deveshwar, Sri Hari emerged holding Prithvi on his snout. As soon as Manu and Devadidev Brahma got a glimpse, they began to sing stutis. Brahmaji said, O you who remove the difficulties of your bhaktas, O lotus-eyed Bhagwan Sri Hari, Jai 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 to you. O Bhagwan who fulfills all desires, all the gods prostrate before you. Prabhu, Prithvi supported on your tusks looks as beautiful as a many-petaled lotus held aloft by the trunks of mighty elephants. Because it is you who is holding Prithvi on your tusks, she looks as beautiful as a lotus that has been uprooted and held aloft on the mighty trunk of Airavat. O Devesh, who are the protector of the creation and destroyer of negative forces, Namaskar to you. O refuge of all the Devatas, who is also called wealthy, we worship you from the front and from the rear obeisance to you again and again. It is you who gave me the instigation to create. I am forever obedient to you. The commencement and conclusion of creation takes place at your command. Hare, it is with your help that from ancient times the Devas became entitled to partake of Amrit. You commanded Indra to occupy the throne of Triloka and became guardian of the immense divine wealth. You bestowed on Agni the quality to burn, and by virtue of his Jataragni power, the fire of the stomach which helps to digest food, he gives trupti, satisfaction, to the Devas, Asuras, and humans. Dharmaraj, who is responsible for computing fruits of actions, who is the eternal witness of all actions, and who is the presiding deity of ancestors, was also appointed by you. It is you who made Nairad ruler of the Rakshasas. That Yagya Purush who has the power to remove all obstacles and who witnesses the actions of all living beings was also born of you. By the power of your command, the Lord of the oceans, Varun, rules all creatures of the water and reigns over the deities who protect different regions of the universe, Lokpals. Vayu, who disperses fragrance and is also called the life breath of living things, was entitled by you to be called Lokpal and Jagadguru. Such is your sovereignty. Kubera, who is extremely dear to the Yakshas and Kinnaras, pays obeisance to you and thus gains the respect of all the Lokpals. Ishan, the greatest of the 11 Rudras, because he causes dissolution of even the most powerful and mighty beings, that Ishan, who is the guardian of good and the destroyer of evil, is worshipped by the Swamis of the three lokas. This is all a part of your majesty and glory. O Lord, whose kingdom covers the entire creation, we worship you again and again. Naradji says, when the creator of the world, Brahmaji, sang these stutis to the Adipurush Bhagwan Srihari, he became so pleased that he created a play and wanted to shower grace and boons. The great Daitya Hiranyaksh arrived there. This ferocious demon had blocked the way. Bhagwan Srihari brought his Gada, mace, down on him and ended his life. The blood gushed out and wet the divine body of Adipurush. He held Prithvi in his tusks and, in an amazing movement, tossed her onto the top of the water, and she miraculously stayed anchored there. After that, Jagat Prabhu returned to his abode. The drama of this incarnation was played to rescue Bhumi Devi from Rasatal, the sixth lower region. That fortunate person who reads or hears this story will have all his sins and negativities destroyed. At the same time, he gets entitled to enter into Vishnulok.
The Holy Recital of Srimad Devi Bhagavat. Jai Shri Mataji.